Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. With the price of just about everything going up during inflation, we thought we'd bring our prices down. So to help us, we brought in a reverse auctioneer, which is apparently a thing.
Mint Mobile Unlimited Premium Wireless. How to get 30, 30, bit to get 30, bit to get 20, 20, 20, bit to get 20, 20, bit to get 15, 15, 15, 15, just $15 a month? Sold!
Give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
$45 upfront payment equivalent to $15 per month. New customers on first 3-month plan only. Taxes and fees extra. Speed slower above 40 gigabytes. See detail.
Whether you're ordering wings for the game, whipping up a 7-layer dip, or ordering pizza, there's something about football that makes you want to eat. And this football season, Uber Eats has the best deals on game day food. No matter what you're craving, from 2-for-1 pizza to buy one, get one wings, Uber Eats will be dropping new deals each week, all season long. Uber Eats, official on-demand delivery partner of the NFL. Order now. Terms and conditions apply. See app for details.
Welcome back to Rams Up, your favorite LA Rams podcast. We are part of the Fans First Sports Network. You can follow us on our YouTube channel as well at LA Rams Up. I'm your host, Mark. I'll be joined occasionally by my football gurus, Paul and Ian. Let's get to it. Hey, welcome back, Ram fans. Roundtable number 56, and I don't know if we've ever had a roundtable where we have this much to talk about, so much going on, and on top of that, we got Thursday night football staring us down the throat, a really big game for the Rams. What's going on, Ian? You're going to be at the game, huh?
Yep, Rams Nation. I'll catch you at SoFi tomorrow night for the Thursday night football, and I mean, guys, I'm either hoping for a game similar to my background. Shout out to everybody on YouTube, like and subscribe if you are tuning in there. And everyone listening on podcast, we thank you very much for that. But in my background, if you guys are with me watching us on YouTube, I have Cooper Kupp stiff-arming a Vikings defender back in the 2018 Thursday night shootout where Jared Goff had 4 passing touchdowns. Cooper had a couple touchdowns. He had over 100 yards. And I think if we win, it's probably going to be in that mold. It'll be a nail-biter to the end. Or it's going to probably be an ass kicking. I kind of don't see it any other way, truthfully. But I'm hoping for a shootout and we pull up on top. So that's that's my wishful thinking for, gentlemen, Kupp's last game at SoFi. Oh, man.
Oh, well, let's not go there quite yet. I mean, I know it's, well, we'll talk about that in a minute. I have mixed feelings on it. So, Paul, you're sporting the Dodger hat. Makes sense. But before the Dodgers play, we got this big game with the Vikings. What are your thoughts going into this? We'll get into a bunch of specific items about this game, but overall, how you feeling about it?
I think if the Rams can ride out the next 2 games, they're going to be in great shape. I mean, I think a lot of the rumors, I think like the Stafford rumors have already been proven to be, it was just people just blowing smoke. Yeah. But, if the Rams can really, like I said, if they can dig in, I think they're in a lot better shape than people realize. And, when we go over it today, I think it's pretty apparent. But I really hope they do not give up on the season like they did last year. This is a team that could surprise. It could really surprise. Yeah,
and we got to remember, if Les Snead is giving up on the season, that doesn't mean the players are going to. I know it has a trickle-down effect, but a lot of young guys that are, it seems like they're, especially on defense, just starting to find their way, and especially last week. So, man, we just hope it's a turning point for this defense. Hey, let's talk about, it's kind of bad news in my mind, and that was this Ernest Jones Seahawks trade. Man, so what the Titans got back a 4th rounder and a linebacker for Ernest Jones. We switched. What did we do? We flipped a 6th and a 7th rounder with the Titans to something like 2
drafts. Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of a bad look. Although, I will say, as you get closer to the trading deadline, players probably do have more trade value for a contender like the Seahawks. But man, how do you feel about it, Paul?
I think the Seahawks trade is payback for Bobby Wagner. So Seattle knows what they're doing. And plus they're playing the boys in blue in a week. So, it's great for them. They're going to get a lot of info from EJ, and EJ is going to play with a vengeance, So for a guy that was characterized as, he couldn't win a starting gig, he seems to be awfully popular around the league. So we'll see what happens. But, the Seahawks have, they pulled off a nice deal. And listen, he's going to a coach that is a defensive-minded coach. And do not be surprised if Ernest Jones is blitzing about 30% of the time when he plays the Rams.
And keep in mind, he's going to be a free agent still, right? He hasn't signed a new contract.
Yeah.
So that's the downside for the Seahawks, right? He could be back with the Rams next year. Not going to happen, but he could be, who knows where he's going to be. So that trade must leave a real bad taste in your mouth, huh, Ian?
We talked about this on the roundtable when he got traded away, and we put our minds together, right, gentlemen? I think it was maybe you and I, Mark. I think Paul, you were out of town enjoying the desert at that time, and we talked about how it was the knee. Sean McVay's comments about his practices weren't great. He missed a lot of time when he was there. He wasn't performing well. Okay, we're going with that assumption that is the case. And again, Ernest Jones is being traded again, so obviously something is up with him. Has to be, right? So, okay, fine. But for the second team to flip him and get way more value than us, what the hell are we doing? And I know Whitworth has said this, and he's been pretty vocal with our fan base, kind of arguing with fans, saying, what the hell are we doing? And he kind of sticks up for the organization, saying, treat players right. All that stuff. Okay, fine. But at what point do we also have to look out for the organization itself? Gee, I'm just getting mad and flustered. I can't even get my thoughts together correctly. You got to look out for the team and for the organization long term, because the Seahawks really gave up a 4th rounder and another starting linebacker, and we got a 6th round pick in 2 drafts from now. It's just unacceptable. Year after year after year, it just seems like Rams want everyone to know that a player is available. And we're going to get into the guy in my background about that very shortly. And then the value of that asset we can get back, draft pick and or player, just diminishes by the day. So it's just irritating. Les Snead, Tony Pastors. Come on, gentlemen. Come on, Kevin Demoff. You're leading the three-headed monster there in terms of front office decisions. Get your damn act together. Get some decent value for some good starting players from this time going forward. It's just ridiculous. It's irritating, bothersome, whatever word you want to throw out there. It's ugh.
Yeah, there's the flip side, and I'm just trying to be optimistic, probably unrealistically optimistic, is, maybe the Rams can use their knowledge of Jones and perhaps his expected over-aggressiveness to their advantage too. So we'll see. But hey, let's move on to another subject you kind of already touched on a little bit there. So we know the Stafford trade rumor was garbage, and now, I don't understand what's going on. 2 weeks ago, we were told by Rams insiders that teams had reached out to the Rams interested in Kupp, and the Rams said, hey, we're going to shut that down right now. Cooper Kupp's not going anywhere. And then 2 weeks later, we hear that the Rams are reaching out to teams to see if they're interested in Cooper Kupp. What's going on, Ian?
In a similar situation, we talked about this in the offseason. Remember, gentlemen, we got together in Rams Nation tuning in way back then. We appreciate that as well before the season started. We went through position group by position group, and we got to the wide receivers, and we said the only guys who are guaranteed to be here next year is Nakua, because, he was an all-pro as a rookie pretty much. Jordan Whittington, because he is a rookie on a rookie contract, and everyone else was on a 1-year deal pretty much. Tutu Atwell in the final year, DeMarcus Robinson in the final year, Tyler Johnson in a 1 year, and we said Cooper Kupp is on an unofficial 1-year deal. The way his contract was structured was that the Rams would be able to get out of it in 2025 or later. And we said if he gets hurt, or if he does not perform relative to the money he's getting, or the cap space, whatever you want to consider, salary, cap, all that together, they're going to bail on him. And we've said it time and time again. The Rams front office, yes, they make dumb tradeaways, but they're savage. They don't give a damn what your status is on this team. If they want to move on from you, they'll do it. I'm sure everyone has a player that they can't get over that we bailed on in the Sean McVay, Les Snead era. And Cooper Kupp is no different. I love Cooper. He's been hurt a ton. 5 out of 8 seasons, he hasn't been able to finish a season fully healthy. We can go down the list. We'll save everyone the time. You can look up all the injuries and all the important games he wasn't around for since he's been a Ram. And with him getting hurt early in the season again, it's over. Either he's going to get traded in the next 2 weeks if we lose bad on Thursday, and if we lose again on Sunday, it's done. And truthfully, I expect this to be his last hurrah, even if he isn't traded. 2025, he won't be a Ram. It's just it's over. It sucks. It's crappy to say that out loud and just really soak in that, but the writing's been on the wall. And you know what really told me that's going to be the case? Everyone who watches on the Rams YouTube channel, they have the Coach McVay show, and the early games in the week, like a Thursday game, McVay doesn't make an appearance. They have Les Snead fill in, and they asked General Manager Les Snead about, hey, how much of a difference will Cooper Kupp make when he's back in the lineup? Aren't you excited? And he didn't seem that excited, truthfully. He said having Cooper is a net positive, but we have a lot of issues, and I don't know if he'll be enough to fix everything. That's very different than him saying last year, he's a pillar, he's a weight-bearing wall. I don't sound like he views him like that anymore. And then is it a shock that in the last couple of days we hear Jordan Rodriguez, Diana Receivey, Mike Silver, credible national reporters, and obviously Jordan's the top dog for the Rams in reporting, all say, yeah, the Rams are willing to bail on him. I think that video with Snead, the contract, now these rumors coming out, I mean, gentlemen, it's over. Either it's going to be over in the next 2 weeks because we lose, or it's going to be over at the end of this 2024 season. And we saw it coming. We didn't want to accept it. We talked about it months ago, but now here we are after a season that's just been really disappointing for many, many factors. And one of them is because he hasn't been around again.
Now, Paul, you are already in the Rams have given up on the season camp. Is that true?
I think they're going to really wait to see how the Minnesota game turns out, and I think they are. I think they have 1 foot out the door, just like they did last year. And I think, the only saving grace really is you have a lot of players from last year. So, I think we all knew that this is Kupp's last year with the Rams, because he would have to have an MVP season to justify what he's making. And he's a great player. Yeah. There's no question about that. But this is what happens when you defer all that salary. And this is what happens. So, I mean, for this year, I really think they should stick it out for this year. So one of the things that they have to be careful of, and they have to take a little bit of responsibility for this, is that the leadership void is one of the major handicaps for the Rams this year. They lost EJ, they lost AD. I mean, that's massive. Those 2 players alone, that is just absolutely massive. Then you lose Kupp on offense, right? That's a lot of leadership right there. So that's, I think, one of the factors that no one is talking about. All right. And then they played without, a couple of veterans on the O-line. So now that the veterans are coming back, and, people are talking and calling the Rams a very young team. If you look at the Rams, their starting players are veterans. There is a smattering of rookies on defense, but if you look at their entire secondary, veterans. Look at their inside linebackers, veterans. Now you have a couple of D linemen, and possibly a trade for another D lineman, hopefully, right? And you will have a couple of veterans on the D line. On offense, it's all veterans. So, I mean, the Rams are going to get better over the next 2 to 3 weeks. They just have to tough it out, right? And I just think if they give up on this season, it's going to be a repeat of last year. It's just they have enough to win. The NFC is not blowing anyone away. You can just look at the standings. They're still right in the thick of it with a disastrous start of the season. So I think they should, hopefully Kupp comes back. He stays healthy to have him down the stretch. just a reminder to everybody, if you look what the Rams had to roll out in the Super Bowl and they still won it, that was not the healthiest roster. And during the game, we lost 2 players. So, I mean, it can be done.
Yeah, I just have to think that the Rams must have a plan that we are just not seeing quite yet, because I just don't, this organization, they don't just willy-nilly for the second year in a row, really say, screw it, we're no good. Let's reset. They must have a plan. I don't know what it is, adding a couple draft picks here and there, clearing out some salary cap. Matthew Stafford's career probably winded down. How's Matthew Stafford going to feel about this?
We talked about Kupp having a de facto 1-year deal. I mean, the Rams structured it to make his deal a de facto 1-year deal, right? That was all that drama in training camp that had McVay growing gray hairs at the press box, or the press conference, excuse me. So, I mean, gentlemen, if Kupp's gone, I fully expect Stafford to not be a Ram next year as well. I mean, the rebuild is coming, right? If this team loses badly tomorrow, if this team loses again against the Seahawks, the season's toast by then. Let's just be honest about it. Could they win a lot of games at the end? Sure, but they'll be way too far behind. So the rebuild is coming again. If they lose tomorrow against the Vikings, and if they lose on the following Sunday against the Seahawks in Seattle, it's done. The Stafford era is probably done, unless he's just true to his word in the offseason, right? Where he's like, I want to play more years. But how could you want to play more years if you're trading away the best players? It's tough. It's just a tough spot that this team is in. And to your point about Stafford and your question, how he's going to feel, I wouldn't feel good if I was him. I'd be like, what's the plan here? And hopefully, if that trade does happen where Kupp is sent away, again, I don't hope it, but I'm just accepting that that's going to be the reality if we have some blunders again in the future games. You're going to have a serious conversation with him and put it like, hey, do you want to stick around for this rebuild that's happening? And he left Detroit because he didn't want to be a part of the rebuild. I don't think he wants to be a part of one here in Los Angeles. With him doing TV gigs last week, I think he'd rather do that than have to go through a Detroit-esque recycling of players. So it's we're in a tough spot. So to your point, remember last week we were saying, is Thursday a must win? You bet your damn ass, everybody, it's a must win tomorrow to save this group of players from all leaving all at once in one off season. So it's on the line tomorrow.
Yeah, I think if it weren't for all these trade rumors, I would still think they could afford to lose this game and move forward with a successful season. But now, with all this hanging over our heads, I just have to think the Rams have a plan. I don't like that word rebuild. I think they would be in a position to, without Stafford, without Cooper Kupp, with all these great young players, tons of salary cap room next year. They have a plan to get this ship righted. The question is, who's the quarterback? That's the big one. I think the rest of the roster could be pretty solid next year. With the guys they have on board and some, a lot of cash to spend on free agents. But who's the quarterback?
And Mark, on that point, so about the free agency, well, if they're going to be spending money on Colby Parkinsons of the world, the Trey Whites,
there's
the Jonah Jacksons, and everybody free agent that we talked about during the bye that was just an absolute failure thus far. Cool, but if they're not spending the money in the right places, then we'll be like a bunch of other crappy teams that keep in this shitty life cycle that they're in, right? All the bottom feeder teams that we can all name off the top of our heads. So we're in a critical period, but I guess the benefit of being so bad, maybe a Shedeur Sanders happens, maybe a Cam Ward from Miami happens, and I don't want to go that far deep in the rabbit hole of what our draft position is. But again, we lose those next 2 games, we'll start talking about that as a reality. Like, all right, let's see where we're at. But
Paul, one of the other factors is, remember, the trade deadline is coming down the road. The media have to write something. They have to drum up something. So a lot of this, I don't think, is coming from the Rams. It's natural. It happens every year. Every year, this is what happens right around the trade deadline. They bounce around a couple of things here and there. So how much of it is actually legitimate, remains to be seen. Yeah, I think the 2 games, that's the Rams believe that the Seahawks game is winnable, and I think the Rams believe the Vikings game is winnable. So,
Hey, we do have some good news. Let's focus on some good stuff.
And you know what's funny about this before you talk, Mark? So, the Rams internet universe is exploding with all the cup stuff from Diana and Jordan and Mike Silver. And then, the Rams, no doubt about it, strategically sent out that, hey, Nakua is returning to practice. His practice window from IR is opening up. There's no doubt about it. That was planned out. Like, all right, we gotta send some good news out to our fans because everyone's having a meltdown throughout wherever you get your Rams news from. So, good news for sure. Finish your point, Mark. I just wanted to share that.
No, I just it's good to see him back. He's listed as questionable for Thursday night. I'd really be surprised.
Which is crazy, by the way.
Yeah. I don't expect him to play, but
no, I don't either.
Man, if we could get, aside from the trade rumors all aside, if we could get through this game with a win and get Puka back and a couple other guys, this team would be in great shape. That's why the timing of November 5th, the trade deadline's rolling around. So, the timing isn't great from a Rams fans perspective. But yeah, at least Puka's coming back. There's that. And there is one other good bit of news, something we should talk about. And that is Kobe Durant, Defensive Player of the Week, well deserved too. We kind of forget about.
Yeah,
you talked about
him. Go ahead.
Yeah. No, I was going to say I watched. I got through half of your Orchestrated Rams. By the way, Ram fans on the YouTube channel, Ian is putting together a series of film studies, and this most recent one against the Raiders, which aired, I think, just a few hours ago. I think, right?
Yeah, today. I'm sure to have a better schedule for that earlier in the week. I just had a busy work week, so I didn't have as much time as I'd like. But yeah, I mean, defense was the main highlight of that episode, breaking down the Raiders game, because offense didn't do Jack Tilley squat, and every impactful play was our defense stepping up, and Kobe Durant was a part of two of them. So, hey, when you get an interception and you cause a fumble, I mean, you better be on the radar for getting Defensive Player of the Week. So I'm happy that he is nationally being recognized as having a fantastic game and saving the season at that point.
Right. And another guy that I've been meaning to mention is, Quentin Lake. My special assistant messaged me after that game, and he said he stated it as a question, but it was more of a statement. Quentin Lake is a hell of a player. I mean, when you look at that tackle of Brock Bowers, and Brock Bowers is a tight end that has been steamrolling defensive backs. And now you guys are the football coaches. Was that a textbook tackle, Paul, or what?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You saw it. Helmet in front of the numbers, shoulders square to the ribs, and using the sideline as the 12th defender. Yeah, so that he had the angle. But if you the anatomy of that play is just absolutely phenomenal, because not only did he have to make that tackle, but the line he had to take, he actually had to run around that natural pick right of the wide receiver, the Raiders wide receiver. And another thing, Ram Nation, watch the series before that. They ran a jet sweep where everybody thought it was a guaranteed 6, and who made the tackle? Quentin Lake. Right, that kept that series going. So he saved the game not once, but twice.
Yeah, and there was another play earlier in the game. I think it was earlier, where a receiver is coming across left to right on your screen, almost had the catch, and Quentin Lake just blew him up. And I think if that had been a college play, it might have been targeting. It was a pretty vicious hit. Yeah, dislodged the ball. So Quentin Lake,
Paul,
hopefully
you talk about captains and leadership. Well, the captain making game-saving plays. So I mean, he's part of that next wave of players. That's got to
give him the dot.
Fill that void.
Give the dude the dot.
I think he'll get it this game, and we'll talk about that shortly, I'm sure.
So we got through the trade stuff, the rumors, and all that. Do you want to start talking about this Thursday night game in detail now? Is that what we should do at this point?
I think so.
Going to throw up on the screen here what the Vikings have done so far. Pretty impressive. They beat some good teams. They beat the 49ers, the Texans, and the Packers, and the Jets, and then lost a heartbreaker to the Lions. So Ian, do you have some ideas of what the keys to the victory will be versus the Vikings, or do you want to go over some stats first? Do you want to go over some?
I think the stats kind of play into the keys to victory. I think, right, gentlemen? I mean, oh man, oh man, oh man. So look, let's just be real about this Rams Nation. This is a good football team with great players at every level of the defense and every level of the offense, it feels like. You have all pros, pro bowlers, you have pretty much everything that you can ask for Kevin O'Connell, right? I mean, former Ram OC. That I'm sure McVay wishes he was still around to help out this sorry offense that we have going on the last month of some change. So, gentlemen, it's all about the defense. Our defense against their offense. Let's just be real about it. So, Vikings offense is, I think, truthfully, a top 10 unit. I know some of these stats are, 13, 14, 17, and 6 for a majority of the stuff, but I think we can just kind of round this all. Be like, this is visually, you look at it, it's a top 10 group. Running back, receiver, quarterback play, O-line play, tight end, the whole shebang. And it's, can our defense make enough critical stops? Can they bend but not break? Right? Can they get an opportunistic turnover here or there? Can they get a critical stop? Can they play sound football and not let up these explosive blunders to Jefferson? I get it. He's all world. It's probably going to happen anyway. But can they limit that? And then can they just bend but not break more times than not? I think that's the main key there. Because I expect our offense, Kupp is back. I expected it to be better, but no Jordan Whittington. And we'll get into our report of all that. But that's a blunder. So, I don't expect our offense to be some juggernaut all of a sudden. It would be great if that was the case, but what have they shown us through 5-6 weeks? None of that. So it's up to defense. And with these player stats here, again, everyone we talked about, Sam Darnold's playing fantastic, comeback player of the year award worthy, right? MVP worthy in some people's eyes. Aaron Jones and his renaissance, getting booted from the Packers. He's been playing good football. Again, Jefferson's all world. Jordan Addison, who we don't talk about, former USC guy, he's a good starting receiver. Hawkinson might be back for this game. That's a coin flip. Fantastic, a Pro Bowl level tight end. And then all their free agent signings on defense led by Brian Flores, who seems to just obliterate Sean McVay's offenses every time they match up. So tough gig. It's got to be defensive led. Just these are my initial early thoughts. They have to save the day somehow. And it's going to be tough, but what about you, Paul? I mean, damn.
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough unit around. It's a well-balanced unit. So if you look on the defensive side of it, you see the 29th there, but that's because they play a very aggressive scheme. A lot of cover 0, a lot of cover 1. I had mentioned it last week. It's just a great defense to watch. It's really, really well structured and well schemed. So they're going to come after you. So the Rams have to be ready. They're going to come. They have to do a solid job of protecting staff. Staff cannot take those hits. So that's going to be huge. And they're going to have to run the ball, because one of the things, and when we get to the next slide, we'll talk about it a little bit more. The Rams are perilously thin at wide receiver. Now they lost Jay Witt, and that is, I think, one of the reasons we saw Tyler Johnson out there. So they are perilously thin at wide receiver. So they're going to have to play a much more conservative game than Coach McVay is going to. I know he's hesitant to do that, but they're going to have no choice, because the Vikings' goal is to force you into turnovers. That is what they want. They want fumbles. They want INTs. Look, they got Ivan Pace Jr. is just a big play machine. Right? They got Van Ginkel. He's another one. So they have and sort of an underrated defense. Not so many household names. And then you got JJ on offense. So you got to limit that. You can't let him get downfield with the big plays. Aaron Jones has got the hamstring. I'm hoping he doesn't play. But, look, it's a balanced unit. They've been a balanced unit on offense. That's what they do. They burn a lot of clock. And when the Rams offense is sitting on the bench for a while, they come out, and that's when you start to see those 3 and outs. So it's going to be an interesting game. Ram Nation knows my affinity for Coach KO, right? I think he's one of the best coaches in the league, and hopefully somewhere down the line, I don't know how it's going to happen, but I hope he winds up back here taking the reins from Sean McVay, because I think that would just be awesome.
Yeah,
But
he's a
I think
SoCal kid.
yeah, I think the Rams really have to play this like almost like a boxing match. Try to limit the number of possessions, try to control the clock, try to keep the tempo on their side up, but try to, on the defensive side of it, they have to be aggressive. We saw it against the Raiders. This unit, when we start taking a look at some of the personnel, the Rams play better when they play fast. When they have been playing back in the first, if you want to say first third of the season, they have learned very quickly they don't play well. But when they're playing forward, they play much better. I know it was the Raiders, and a lot of people are not giving them their due. That was a great game. Curl played a great game. Kobe Durant played a great game. The pass rush was much more robust. So that is how they're going to have to play against the Vikings. They have to pick their spots, but when they come, they got to get to the quarterback.
And you talked a little bit about that, Ian, in your Orchestrated Rams about the cheetah defense, right? And that's what you're talking about, Paul, putting really pulling linebackers off the field, 3 outside linebackers, a bunch of DBs. And so that's what you're arguing for in this game.
That's right, Ram Nation. You heard it 3 weeks ago. We said that 3 all outside linebacker setup was going to turn this season around for the Rams, and it did. And not only that, you saw the big play with Kobe Durant. What they did was they did it without the 3 outside linebackers. They used Reader in the A-gap, right? And then they sent Curl. So that's exactly what we were talking about. Now they have a dime package and a nickel package that can get after the quarterback. So there you go.
Yeah, and I missed that.
Real quick, Mark. I mean, everyone out there, Paul called this weeks ago, and he's like, why aren't they doing, get out Reader, get out Roseboom, and just throw all the edge rushers out there? It'll be better. And I was like, that's a great idea, but I don't think Shula and them are going to have the guts to do it. Well, they had the guts to do it, and it's been our best defensive formation by far. Cheetah dime, right? 6 DBs, and then the 3 outside linebackers all together with Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk. No Reader, no Roseboom in sight. Crazy, dude. Another good call out there, which, again, I didn't think they had the guts to do it, but through 3 weeks, that's been their best defensive formation by far. Seriously.
Does Chris Shula possibly subscribe to this channel? Is that possible?
I doubt it.
And I missed that though. I watched.
I think Reader made the decision easy for him.
Yeah. By the way, I don't know if you guys caught it. I mentioned it on the podcast. I watched Sean McVay's victory speech last week, and he gave a game ball to Chris Shula, and Chris Shula had a couple words for the team, and what his last sentence was something to the effect of, now the Vikings have 3 days to prepare for our cheetah defense. And I missed it. And then my special assistant texted me, is like, did you catch that? And I went back and listened to it. And I don't know if he should be saying that. I guess it doesn't matter. I'm sure the Vikings would have would have figured it out anyways. But
the film doesn't lie, Mark. I mean, they know that's the best thing we got going for us on defense anyway. I mean,
yeah,
so be it.
So I want to just say one thing. I'm going to be a contrarian here, and you guys can tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. I know we want to establish the run. You always want to establish the run, establish the play action, slow down the pass rush when you do pass. But if you look at these stats, it's really concerning to me that now I don't know if it's because the Vikings, if you look at the yardage, they're 29th defending the pass, and they're second defending the run in yards per game. Is that because their pass defense is a little bit weaker? Is it because their run defense is so good? Or is it because they're getting ahead in games? I don't know. But these stats might suggest it's a game where you want to move the ball through the air more than you two like. Well, tell me I'm wrong.
Take a look at the points per game. They don't give up a lot of points. So when they take those chances on the blitz, so you're going to get a completion here or there. And now they're doing, I mean, it almost looks like that zone blitz. If you remember when the zone blitz was like a big thing in the NFL, and you see them like, you don't know who's dropping and who's coming. And, when Blitzburg had it going on, same thing. So you watch, that's what happens sometimes. So the yardage is a little bit misleading. But look, they're not giving up a lot of yards on the ground because you're absolutely right. When they get the lead, teams have been playing catch up. Their margin of victory, if you look at it, it's double digits in all but 2 of the games. So that's exactly right. So you hit the nail on the head. But they don't give up a lot of points. The way you're going to beat the Vikings is simple. You cannot let them just go up and down the field. You cannot. You have to make them one-dimensional. And that's what they do on defense. They make you one-dimensional because they want you to throw the ball because they want to come after you. They're going to dial it up. And think about it. Stafford takes 2 or 3 hits, it's a wrap. That's exactly what they're going to be looking for.
Yeah, fair enough. I wasn't sure what the answer was. I was actually giving you multiple choice, and I was letting you tell me what the correct answer was. So thank you, Paul.
No, your analysis was spot on. Was spot on.
So I pulled some notes across the World Wide Web to add some additional context here. These first 2 items here are something maybe the Ram fans can celebrate or hold out some hope we can take advantage of this. The issue your right guard and center have dealing with pass rushes. Meanwhile, Kobe Turner and Braden Fisk are great. They're great at winning pass rush. They have a great win rate pass rush, but they're not really putting quarterbacks on the ground, are they? Man, that whiff by Kobe Turner was so bad. Oh man. But that's an area that the Rams could succeed at, could exploit against this Vikings offense. Rams defense has scored in 2 straight games, and the Rams lead the series for what that's worth. A lot of people seem to put some weight on that. So the Rams have a pretty good edge on them. I don't know what the playoff record between these 2 teams are. I have a feeling the Rams are on the losing side of that. But just some additional data there for you.
Good data. And I just want to say this. I know people think Sam Darnold is like slower. I hear a lot of people saying, oh, Sam isn't athletic. I'm like, what are you people talking about? Sam Darnold is an athletic, speedy with burst quarterback when he gets running around. So we got lucky playing Minshew and O'Connell, and Minshew can move around pretty good too. He escaped some sacks, as we talked Kobe Turner's miss and some other times. It's not getting any easier. I mean, that is the world we live in now, everyone. Quarterbacks can run around and extend plays, whether it's extending it to be a positive gain or extended to not take a negative play. So it's going to be a challenge, and just like it always is, if you can get to the quarterback, good things are going to happen for the team and your chances of winning. But Sam Darnold's going to make it tough on us. So it's good that Bradbury for them is having a rough year, giving up pressures. That bodes good for Braden Fisk and Kobe Turner, but they got to get them to the ground, and I expect it to be another nail biter in terms of that stuff. Tackling's been an issue, and if it's not Quinleg, we seem to miss a lot of tackles. So that's going to be a big key as well. I mean, can we exploit the interior weakness? But if we do, get Sam Darnold to the ground, please, or get him to be flustered and make a bad decision or something. Turn him into New York Jets. I'm seeing ghosts Sam Darnold with the pressure. But if we can't do that and we can't fluster him or get him to the ground, I mean, it'll be another long day.
Yeah, we beat him week 18, right? Last year. I get 2 in a row. Hey, Paul, before we get to our Vikings, the keys to victory and our predictions, I'm going to let you walk us through. You have another one of your building blocks of just some insight in where the Rams are, what they've done, and what they need to get done. And then you have a player that you're going to lobby for as far as if the Rams are going to make a trade to improve this team by November 5th. So what do you got here for us?
Yeah, so when you look at it, and your last slide really showed it, there are a lot of positives there, but the one glaring weakness right now is run defense. You cannot give up close to 150 yards a game and expect to win in the NFL on the ground. You cannot do that defensively. So if they shore up that one area, this defensive unit takes on a whole new dimension. Right. And just to start from the top. And I call this stacking blocks. So we had building blocks last week. We got some positives. Now we could start stacking the blocks. Well, the first thing you see there and highlighted in red. So they have been highlighting Tutu and Parkinson. So when you at first blush, when you look at it, you're like, oh, 44 catches, a 65% completion rate, sort of looks good. But the eyeball test, when you watch the game, we saw that with that. It still irritates me, right? They throw out the bubble screen. All they needed was 4 yards, and the dude gets tripped up. Number 5, I like to call him Take 5, because that looks like what he's doing out there every time, just taking a rest. He comes up 3.5 yards, a half yard short on a clutch play that they need. And that seems to be the theme with him, right? Tutu plays very well when he's catching these balls on the perimeter, and he gets to just go. He does the Tavon Austin special, beeline to the sideline. And there's nothing against the kid. It's just that is the type of player that he is. There's nothing wrong with that. But the problem that the Rams face is that they are so thin and wide receiver that they have had no choice but to spotlight Tutu and Parkinson, and look at what it's led to. They lead the team. They both have 34 targets. That's 68 targets between them. 68 targets, which have led to 44 catches. 44 times they have touched the ball. Look at the yardage per catch. I took the average between the two, 11.9. That's your 2 featured receivers in this offense. Now you understand why outside of Kyren, they only have 2 offensive touchdowns. 0 TDs.
DeMarcus and Cup, right?
Yeah. So it has nothing to do with Tutu and Haight. It has nothing to do with that. It has nothing to do with Parkinson and Haight. It has nothing to do with that. You have to look at the reality of the situation. It is not generating points. Teams are doubling Demarcus Robinson. You can watch on every play, Ram Nation. Ian and I look at it. It's unbelievable. And they are leaving these guys one-on-one, and they are not making plays. So you're going to have to find offense. Thank goodness Kupp is coming back. Unfortunately, Jay Witt is hurt. But, Johnson is back in the mix. He's out of the doghouse, and we saw that catch and run. That might be where they could find a little offense. They have to get Xavier Smith on the field. This has been one of the biggest mistakes they have made over the last 2 weeks. They have got to get that kid offensive snaps. If you see how he threatens the edge with that jet sweep, that was just one example. How many plays, Mark? I texted it. How many plays did it take? 3. They hit him with the jet sweep, and he almost got into the end zone. That is such a dimension to this offense that that sort of home run hitter that can take it to the house. So taking a look at this now, so moving on to what's been working. Kyren, 9 of the 11 offensive TDs for the Rams have come from Kyren. He's averaging 19.3 attempts per game. Keep rolling with the big dog. Keep giving him the rock. Get that number. That's a healthy number. But the key is you got to add quorum. That 5 or 6 snaps that you give this kid, 5 or 6 carries, he's quick. He has that dimension where he can get those big gains. Put those 2 together, and now this run game is going to go up a notch. So that's right there as you start stacking blocks. We got Aaron Kyren. He's a constant. Now let's add Corum into the mix. You also got Ronnie Rivers in there too. So you really want to grind it out. You can. Keep using that aggressive Eagle set, both nickel and dime. So I think what's going to happen is Reader is completely lost in pass coverage, and it's not his fault. You see that he had the hamstring. That I told Ian in the text, I said, this was coming. You got this guy running around there, in pass coverage. You knew he was going to blow a hammy or something. They're lucky it's just a hammy. He is a traditional run stopper, right? Use him on rundowns, and then he cannot carry the dot. He's not a 3-down linebacker. That was a big mistake, and it really, really burned the Rams. And it's okay. You move on from that. He is a run stopper. Use him on those downs. Get him off the field. In the nickel set, we saw what Curl can do when he's close to the line of scrimmage. The kid is a fantastic blitzer. He can cover tight ends. He can cover backs out of the backfield. He loves to throw the body around. And Ram Nation, watch that play. That scoop for 6. Cam Curl, from a standing position, benched the running back and leapt 4 feet in the air. Minshew pulled the ball back, and that's when Kobe Durant blasted him. By the way, they timed it. Kobe Durant got to the quarterback in 2.6 seconds. Like he was shot out of a cannon. 2.6 seconds was the timing on that one. It was a thing of beauty, that play. So I think if they start using boom and curl in the nickel and stick with their dime package, listen, the Rams, there's a reason this package looks so good. Look at their cornerbacks for a minute, Ram Nation. D-Will, Spoon, Durant, if they find a way to salvage T. White, think about what this cornerback scenario is going to look like. They got Josh Wallace getting some burn too. If you look at those four, Durant, this is his third year in the league. This is not a rookie cornerback scenario. These are veterans. The Rams have, it sort of has evolved this way. They have a rock solid secondary. They have a veteran set of corners. Now look at their safeties. Captain Q, Curl, and when JJ comes back, there you go. You got your center fielder, and you can Curl. Curl can play close to the line. Q-Lake can play anywhere. That dime package is going to be straight fire for the rest of the season. And the way McCullough's playing, you can play him at corner at safety. Ram Nation, take a look at this. The Rams secondary, they can build around this. Going no linebackers is not going to hurt the Rams. So now they have a nickel set, right, with boom and curl. And now they got their dime package, which is just clicking. With those three outside linebackers, all they got to do is stop the run. Once they do that, I think they're going to be in great shape. So they have to add, it's Omar time. It's time for Omar. Let's see what the kid can do. Put him with boom. Let's see what happens. Let's see if it improves the run defense a little bit. But the true key to salvaging the Rams season is in this deal right here, to get a real run stopper in the middle. You know, Ashawn would have been available. He's nursing a knee injury, though. So the monster in the middle, my call. Listen, Cleveland has started the fire sale. This guy is one of the most underrated players in the league. 6'3", 320. He has done it everywhere he has been. And go ask the Giant fans how much they miss Tomlinson. This dude is a beast. DT in the middle. Let's get Bobby Brown off the field, right? Or Gallimore, whoever they want to do. Let's get this guy in the middle. This guy will shut down the run easily. You will take about 10 to 15 yards a game off the running game with this guy. He will get you to second and third down. Obviously not by himself, but mix him in. This is the deal that they can make. They won't have to give up a super high draft pick. This is the guy. You put him into that D-line mix. Obviously, somebody's going to come out of the rotation. But if you could go back to that slide, Mark, for a second, take a look at this. Look at that D-line mix. Kobe, Fisk, Tyler Davis got a lot of – I still stand by it. I don't think Davis should be on the nose. The kid can rush the passer. He can get into the backfield. But you got Jonah Williams is going to start getting more between Bobby Brown and Gallimore. They got to make a decision. One of them is going to have to either go practice squad or get released. And then you bring in this guy. I think it's going to make a world of difference on this defense. Look at this unit. This is a rock solid unit. You can go to war with this unit for the rest of the season, the way it's shaping up. I'm really excited about the rest of the season on defense. But it's that running, that rush defense has to be improved. Bottom line.
Yeah, I feel really this defense is fun to talk about, if nothing else. So many talented young guys. A couple points I'd like to. Well, one is I just don't know if the Rams are going to make a move if they're talking about trading Cup and all this going on. Maybe they still would. But yeah, absolutely. That is the one hole in this defense. And I'm wondering, just a side question for Ian or you, Paul. Has anyone been able to evaluate Brandon Jackson's first foray into the NFL? I know he only had a handful of snaps.
He looked whatever. Let's just be real about it. I mean, he hasn't practiced much. He hasn't played much. It wasn't bad, but I wouldn't say it was good or average. I'd say below average. Who say you, Paul? I mean, what do you think?
It was first game back. I mean, listen, the guy's huge. So that's great. Another player for that outside linebacker rotation. If they're going to be doing three outside linebackers, having another outside linebacker, that's probably what they were taking a look at because they're going to need a little bit of depth there, right? Yeah. We might even see Hampton get somewhere. Mark's favorite player, man. Hampton, too. He knows how to get after it. So they can get that rotation going and just start pressuring the quarterback. I mean, that's going to be a sight to see.
I was starting to be concerned that they were kind of hiding a miss on a draft pick that they missed on, not being inactive and all that. So it's nice to see him on the field and getting into the rotation. So we'll have to keep an eye on him. Hey, before we, thanks a lot for that, Paul. That was a good overview of where the defense is at.
Can we take a moment and acknowledge Ram Nation, Mark's favorite player, Johnny Munt? We get to see Johnny Munt on TV.
Yeah, I did a little bit on him on his stats as a Ram compared to his stats with the Vikings, and he's a good blocker too, if I'm not mistaken. So
don't we all miss him? Don't we all miss Johnny on the spot?
Yeah, Pac-12 guy, Oregon, I think. Oregon or Oregon State. I think it was Oregon. Yeah, and I was waiting for an opportunity to rewind about 20 minutes when we were talking about the quarterback of the future. We still do have Jimmy G in the house, Paul. So maybe we shouldn't be sweating about moving on from Stafford.
Doesn't Mark know how to kill my buzz? Doesn't he totally know how to kill my buzz, Ian? Look at that.
Well,
hey,
that's the dark timeline we all don't want to see. I know.
I mean, Stetson Bennett, who the heck knows? I think that train has already left the station, though.
Oh, yeah.
So before we get into our predictions, I forgot to talk about the injury report. I don't think I shared this. So, Blake Cashman's out. TJ,
big deal. Big deal in our favor, for sure.
Yeah. And now we already talked about their right guard and their center being liabilities, and Dalton Risner questionable. And then cornerback Evans as well on the Rams side. Now, it's a big deal. We were hoping Noteboom was going to be good to go, so we didn't have to live through another game of either Bruss or Dedich. And, whatever happened with, when the Rams poached Dylan McMahon from the Eagles, I thought he might get it. Maybe he's the next guy up.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, who knows? Yeah. But no doubt about it, Noteboom, and God, it sucks. We paid him to be the left tackle of the future. He couldn't handle it, and then on top of not being able to handle it, he's never available either. I mean, it was just what a blunder that was. And he was really going to be needed for this game to start a left guard because, Bruss, we talked about it. We all watch film here, and everyone out there, hopefully, is tuning into Orchestrated Rams. I mean, Bruss is just not good. So the Rams realized that too, and they were like, well, we got to get somebody in there. And they gave the USC guy, Dedich, a chance. He was also equally not good this last game, let's just be honest. He's just a smaller guy. He can't get the push, and hey, people have physical limitations. I get it, but it's not the answer. So Noteboom, in my hopes and dreams, was going to be out there. But him being out, he's clearly not ready. And that's a big deal for him not being ready to go and play this game at that left guard spot. What about you, Paul? How do you feel about that? And him just never freaking available. It's just, oh, my God.
Ram Nation, if we could take a peek into Brian Flores into their meeting room and look at their chalkboard, they got left guard circled in a big bright yellow. By the way, shout out to Brian Flores from Brooklyn, New York, Poly Prep Pride. Way to go. Great coach. But you know what? They're going to come. That's it. They're going to attack that left guard. They're going to attack that side. That's a gaping, excuse the pun, that's a gaping hole right now. I don't know how they're going to scheme that. So you're going to see Kyron's going to be in blocking for pretty much a large portion of the game, picking up the blitz. So that means he's not going to be out there in the flat. He's not going to be leaking out. So they got to keep this defense honest because they're going to be coming. They got to use those jet sweeps to the edge, right? When these players get trapped in the middle and bunched up into that middle, that's when they have to hit them on the outside. Those quick throws, get it out into the flat, quick slants. They're going to have to keep this defense honest, and they're going to really have to try to play like I know we said it before, but if there was any one game that is screaming, look, their leading tackler is out of the game, right? Go pound it, right? Wear that defense out. It'll pay off in the fourth quarter. The one injury that really scares me, apart obviously from Whittington and Noteboom and Reader, is Fisk and his back. So, remember AD had to wrestle with that a lot because, getting double teamed a lot, getting blasted a lot. That was AD. AD could handle it and absorb that. Fisk, as a rookie, is already experiencing those back issues. So that's the one that really, really scares me. So I'm hoping he's a go because he's a great, great young player. But that's the one that when I read it, I was like, oh, boy. But left guard is something to watch for the remainder of that game.
Yeah, and it's also concerning that Fisk and Gallimore could be out. So is this a game? It just occurred to me as we're talking about the wide receiver, kind of thin at wide receiver. This might be the first time in a while, maybe last week it was true as well, that all of our tight ends are healthy. Is this a game? And given that Cashman is out, is this a game we go to 12 personnel? Would McVay dare go back to 12 personnel in this game?
This could be a Davis Allen coming out party.
Look, excuse my language, you better fucking do it. It's been very frustrating as a fan and as somebody who looks at a lot of film, and we discuss it on here as well. Again, the formula is out there. You did it against the 49ers' good defense. Maybe you could say they're not elite this year. They're pretty dang good still, everybody. Let's just not kid ourselves with all the injuries going on with them. And they're not this top 3 unit. They're still pretty dang good. The formula is there. 12 personnel. You have to mix and match. You have to run the ball even when things aren't working well, and then you play action pass off of that. Literally, the game plan that should have been the game plan this entire stretch of everyone being hurt, McVay did it for one game. The other games, he abandoned it, and we've lost, right? Luckily, the Raiders are sorry, so we were able to save ourselves and beat them. But the game plan should be exactly like the 49ers offensively. 12 personnel, mixing and matching different looks out of the 12, obviously sprinkling 11, which he loves, run the ball, and then play action pass off of it. Because if it's just straight drop back like it's been for the last 5 games out of 6 that we played, we ain't going to have a damn chance. And the F-bomb was worth it. Sorry, everybody. But he has to effing do it. Because if he doesn't, we are going to have no shot offensively. And it's ridiculous that we are here. Fans notice it. We talk about it every week, and it drives me insane. Why can't the coaches, why can't our head coach figure it out? I just don't understand.
Yeah, I feel you. And this seems like it'd be the ideal game. You don't have Whittington or Puka, 2 wide receivers that can block really well. You're going to run Cooper Kupp out there coming back from an injury. You're going to have him blocking some, but if you really have him on the trading block, do you really want him being a sledgehammer in the running game? Run 12 personnel with, Xavier and Cooper Kupp or Tutu, DeMarcus, whoever, pair up with Cooper Kupp, rotate your wide receivers. But I'm not counting on it, to be honest with you. Yeah, hey, we don't curse really much on this podcast, but when we do, it's for a reason. It's not just willy-nilly. When we make sure it counts. So
when you play one last thing, when you play a heavy cover 0 or cover 1 team, right? You're early on, obviously you want to establish a running game, but you got to scare them early. You got to make them think. You got to get vertical early. Take your shots early, right? Give them something to think about. If you think about it, Tutu, DeMarcus, Xavier, get him vertical. Let him go. And Staff's got the arm strength. You keep him clean just for like 3.5 seconds. He'll get it way downfield. Let those guys run after it. Take 1 or 2 shots. It's worth it. Scare that defense. Make sure that they have that in the back of their mind that if they come, that they can get burned real quickly.
So we may have already shared organically our keys to victory. Do you want to try to summarize it real quickly, Ian? What are your 3, 4, 5 keys to victory? I think we've already mentioned probably all of them.
Yeah. 49ers game plan, copy and paste offensively. 12 personnel, run the ball, play action pass, gives your chance some one-on-ones to Tutu and Cooper and everyone, and that's where we do damage. Has to be copy and paste game plan. Defensively, they have to bend but not break. And I expect maybe some breaks happen again. They have just a high-powered unit. It's inevitable with them. Let's just be honest. They haven't had a bad offensive game yet, and I don't think our defense is going to suddenly just show up like the '85 Bears. Even though that'd be great, but I don't expect that to happen. So bend but not break. Can they hold on and make them kick field goals instead of them giving up touchdowns? I think that'll be key more times than not. And then special teams. Can we get a big return? Can somebody break one and get us good field position in the return game? And then Cardi, whatever the hell's going on with that dude, this ain't the day to keep blundering around. Primetime television, he's made tons of big kicks at Stanford in big games against rivals and all that. He's got to come with that mentality saying, hey, man, it's up to me to keep this team in the game. So it's going to be huge that he has his confidence. Whatever mechanics might be off, whatever the snap and hold operation, if that's off, that has to be figured out. And those are my keys to the game, everyone. It's pretty dang simple. But will McVay do it? I don't know. I'd bet probably he won't, but that's how it's the only way we're going to win this game unless, Stafford and Kupp turn on their Super Bowl 56 Superman capes all of a sudden and just two-man show it, which is not likely. So
yeah, we can move the ball.
I'll be at the game. I hope so.
Yeah, we can move the ball through the air on this team. That's for sure. You got anything to add, Paul, as far as keys to victory against the Vikings?
Go after it on defense. Go after it on defense. Listen, sitting back hasn't worked. Pick your spots. Go after it on defense. You got a lot of talent on the defensive side of the ball. Create some turnovers, create some action. And on the offensive side of the ball, play a clean game, 0 turnovers. And the other thing is, do not let Jefferson beat you. Don't let him have one of those, highlight games. That's the other part of it. They got veteran corners, they got veteran safeties, scheming up. So, if somebody else, has a big day, that's so be it. But don't let Jefferson be the one and beat you. Minimize that damage.
Yeah, I think this defense is starting to feel it, and they are probably rip-roaring to play this Vikings offense. I have a feeling. So that's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. I just sense it. And Ian will be there to enjoy it in person. So that's cool.
I'll be growing gray hairs as the quarters unravel, right? Well, by fourth quarter, I might have all gray, depending on what happens.
So who wants to go first as far as their prediction?
Oh.
You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
Yeah, because I did some research on this, and actually, I didn't really do research. I stumbled across another prediction. I don't know if you're familiar with John Breach on CBS Sports. He's one of their experts, makes picks every week. And he had some interesting data. Since the Thursday night football games were reinstituted, whatever year it was, 2006, I think, 20 times a team has played on Sunday and flown 2 time zones to the West Coast to play on Thursday night. Those teams have 4 wins and 16 losses. And another piece of data he had, this year, 5 teams have played the Lions. One of them the following week had a bye. The other 4 all lost by an average score of 21.8 points. And that would be the Vikings this week coming off a loss to the Lions. Now, trends, take what you want of trends, but John Breach is rolling with the trends, and so am I. Now, I could put this in my mainframe, and it would spit out that the Rams are going to win by 22 points. But I'm going to tone it down a little bit. I'm going to take the Rams to. I think it's going to be a really close game. It's going to be an exciting game. That's Thursday night at SoFi. It's got to be an exciting game. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to go with, let's say, 27-23. And by the way, last week, Paul, let me write that down for historical purposes. Last week, Paul, you were pretty close on your prediction.
Yeah, if Cardi makes those points, right? It was a 4-point swing, right? A field goal and extra point, yeah.
Yeah, you were really close. I was not. I was on the right side, but not close. So why don't you go next, Paul? What's your prediction for this game?
Yeah, they also have a great field goal kicker with that kid Reichert from Alabama. He's been having a great year. So um, I don't know. I think the Rams are light on offense, but I think this defense is coming to life. I think that we're going to see another defensive or special team score, which is going to help a little bit. So it's Cardi Party coming through. I have them pulling it out. 24-23 Rams. Rams shock the Vikes. The short week helps the Rams.
I think Ian's going to give us a dose of reality here. I just sense it.
Gentlemen. Look, everyone out there, I'll be at the game. I'll be there bright and early to scout. Maybe tweet or post some things that I see pregame. Who's out there? How's Cardi looking, kicking? All that fun stuff. How does Cooper Kupp look? How does all that fun stuff? I hope for a win. I hope to spend my good money and celebrate leaving the stadium feeling good about where the team is at in a victory. But like I've been saying, no different than every other week where we've made these early score predictions. I've said the Rams have to show me that they're going to change for the positive, especially offensively. And right now, through the 6 games that they've played, I just said it not too long ago, the 49ers game plan is the only game plan that made sense, and what a shock it worked. So until they continuously do that or have appropriate game plans offensively, I cannot pick them to win games until I see that start to roll in the positive direction of that being momentum. Good game plans, smart play calling. I haven't seen it. And it's no different this Thursday, tomorrow's game. I can't pick them to win, everybody. I just can't until they start doing good things on offense, at least coaching-wise. So all that to say, what is my score? I'm going to go 17-35. Rams lose. Because, again, I hope I'm wrong, just like I've said every other week, right? But until they show me that they can have appropriate, smart, and well-thought-out game plans on offense, they're going to crap the bed like they've been, and the defense is going to be put in a massive hole time after time after time. And against an elite offense like this, we talk about that bend but don't break, which are the keys to victory. But are they going to be able to do it if the offense keeps wetting the bed like they have been for forever now, it feels like? How can I pick them to win objectively? But again, I'll be there at the game. I will be cheering for every great play, for every good catch, for every good tackle, pressure, all that stuff. But to you guys, I can't lie to you guys out there, Rams Nation. This team hasn't put together solid game plans offensively for weeks, and it feels like years sometimes with Sean McVay's up and down with the way he wants to game plan and call plays. So I hope I'm wrong, but if I had to bet money in my life on what the score is going to be, I would put this one right here at 17-35.
Yeah, and the problem the Rams could have, kind of to your point, is if the defense could play really well, could play reasonably well, but if the offense keeps on giving the ball back to the Vikings, eventually they wear down a couple big scores, and it just gets away from them real fast. And we've seen that with other Ram teams in the Fisher era, where they had pretty solid defenses, but their offense was so anemic that at the end of the day, it looks like a blowout. Well, it is a blowout, but it's not because the defense didn't do their job.
Yeah,
and that could happen Thursday night. So hey, fair enough. You just being honest with us, Ian, and we appreciate that. Hey, there's one more thing we got to close this out with. Now, I remember in 1980-ish, following the Dodgers and this young Mexican pitcher. They brought him up. I don't remember how it all transpired, but all of a sudden this guy is just pitching shutout after shutout, and this city was going crazy for him. And sadly, Fernando Valenzuela passed away the other day. And I remember one of the playoff games, I think it was maybe during one of the Padre playoff games, he made an announcement that he had to leave the booth because he was ill. And and then he passed away, and really sad day. He was one of two Dodgers who's have had their uniform numbers retired, although they are not in the Hall of Fame, the other being Jim Gilliam. And he should be in the Hall of Fame, shouldn't he, Paul? A really sad day. And I remember it was just electric that period, that year. It was something else. I don't know if the sports world in Los Angeles have ever experienced something quite like Fernando Valenzuela.
Well, I'm not ashamed to say I was 12 years old when Fernando Mania hit the country, and it really was. It wasn't just a SoCal scenario. And I remember Ram Nation back then, we didn't have the luxury of satellite TV, so I had to wait for them to play the Mets to see Fernando. I got lucky, and it was early in the season, and he pitched for the Mets, and I saw him in '81. And it was before I read our final salute to Fernando, is that I can tell you that he's by far one of my top favorite Dodgers of all time, the classiest Dodger. He and Tommy Lasorda were like, two peas in a pod. You talk about two kindred spirits. And it was magical as a kid to watch him pitch. Everything from his delivery, it was amazing when he used to look to the sky. And Vince Scully, he always had a Fernando-ism, something like. And then Game 3, Ram Nation, if you want to really, 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 really appreciate this man, is watch Game 3 of the World Series in 1981. So on behalf of the Rams Up family, we just wanted to sign off today. So just a quick bio on Fernando. Fernando Valenzuela was born on November 11th, 1960 in northwestern Mexico, and grew up in a small town called Echowaquia. At that time, the population was 160 people. Mom and dad, Avelino and Maria Valenzuela, had a small farm. Fernando played soccer as a boy, and he learned to play baseball from his older brothers. 17-year-old Fernando Valenzuela was discovered by accident in 1978 when Mike Brito, yes, Dodger fans, the man with the hat and the radar
gun.
That's right. He was a scout. He was actually down in the Mexican Rookie League. He was scouting a shortstop. And who was pitching on the other side? It was Fernando. Fernando struck out 12, and Brito commented, "I can't believe that 17-year-old is pitching the way he was pitching. He looked so mature. He couldn't believe he was 17 years old." And Fernando had that baby face. So the Dodgers signed Valenzuela the next year, sent him to the minors. He added to his fastball and curveball, and he learned that now famous screwball from Dodger fans. Here's a little trivia. Bobby Castillo taught him the screwball. So Bobby Castillo taught him the screwball. He caught on quickly, and he was an immediate star. He got called up in 1980 as a reliever, 0 runs in his first 10 appearances. So you knew he was laying the groundwork for greatness. He burst onto the scene in 1981. Fernando Mania took America by storm. That year, MLB, we had the strike shortened season. He dazzled everyone with his signature screwball and his signature high leg kick and his eyes to the sky motion. He won his first 8 starts, 5 of them by shutouts, and he finished with a record of 13-7. He had a 2.48 ERA. He became the first, and as of 2024, the only player to win the Cy Young and the Rookie of the Year in the same season. The Dodgers won the World Series against the Yanks that year, and led by his gutsy Game 3 performance. Ram Nation, Dodger Nation, listen to this. He pitched a complete game. And now, in the days of the pitch count, we can appreciate this. 149 pitches in Game 3 and a 5-4 victory. Valenzuela peaked from 1981 to 86. He was named a National League All-Star in each season. He won a National League leading 21 games in 86. In 81, he was also the MLB strikeout leader. He pitched a no-hitter in 1990. Not only was he a great pitcher, he was also a tremendous fielder and hitter. He won a Gold Glove in 86. He was a 2-time Silver Slugger Award in 81 and 83. His best year at the plate was in 1990. His last year with the Dodgers, he had a 304 batting average. 304 as a pitcher. He had 5 doubles, a home run, and 11 runs batted in 69 at bats. So Valenzuela had a 101 OPS plus, which ranked just above average among all National League hitters. So interesting. He was that talented. He batted 200 for his career. And with 10 home runs, 26 doubles, 84 RBIs. Valenzuela was even used by Lasorda as a pinch hitter. He batted 368 lifetime as a pinch hitter for the Dodgers. Absolutely incredible. His number 34, as Mark said, was retired despite the fact that he has not been inducted to the MLB Hall of Fame, which is absolutely criminal. And Dodgers as an organization and everyone else that are pure baseball fans, regardless of your team fave, I say let's start that virtual petition now. Let's get him into the Hall of Fame because, I mean, it is absolutely criminal. This man is what baseball is all about. He returned to the Dodgers organization in 2003 as a broadcaster along with Jaime Jarrín. By the way, who was Fernando's interpreter when he was a youngster for the Dodgers? Jaime Jarrín. Isn't that incredible? And he joined Jaime on the Dodgers Spanish language broadcast. He served as Team Mexico's, he was on Team Mexico's baseball coaching staff in 2006, 2009, 2013, and 2017. He also distinguished himself in 2015. He was one of President Obama's ambassador for citizenship and naturalization. That's when Fernando became a U.S. citizen. He eventually succumbed to liver cancer on October 22nd, 2024, but he has left behind a legacy of greatness and humility that is rarely seen in athletes of his caliber. On behalf of the entire Rams Up family, and I know I speak for all of Dodger and Ram Nation, we salute you, senor. There will never be another Fernando. And what it has meant for me as a Dodger fan, I know for all Dodger fans, cannot be summarized in words. Dodger Nation will always be known as Fernando Nation, and your legend will live forever. Gracias, El Capitan.
Well said, Paul. Well said. And with that, we will sign off from this episode of Rams Up. And we'll be back late Thursday night, maybe, for a quick reaction, a post-game reaction to the Rams-Vikings game. Thanks a lot, guys. Out here from Rams Up.
34 forever.
That's going to do it for this episode. Remember, you can reach us at ramsuppodcast@gmail.com. And don't forget about our YouTube channel. Our handle is at laramsup.com. Till next time, keep the horns up, stay safe, and have fun out there.